people call the ideal life experience would be, freedom, joy, all of these things, happiness, abundance, not just like money, because we can see people that are low conscious or low vibration, low sentience seeming people acquiring lots of wealth or lots of money, but are they radiating light? Light also, in the esoteric sense, is often synonymous with wisdom and intelligence. So light is information. And so the more light you have, the more consciousness you have of your environment, the more awareness you have of your experience and how you are developing or diminishing that development based on what you are coming into contact with and how much knowledge you're acquiring based on the expression of or the experience of the different things you sense. Like, do I sense the bad thing and I go to more of that? Do I embrace conscious development? Because in the back of my book, I don't have it on my desk right now, Bailey says that esoteric psychology recognizes that human evolution is the evolution in consciousness, right? So we're evolving not from, a monkey into a man. Our evolution is how much do we grow in consciousness of who we are, why we're here, what we're meant to do, how do we impact this experience, this life, our growth in that. Are we making decisions that make us more conscious or less evolved? Are we devolving? Are we becoming less light? So C, the third quality of the soul, is light or radiation, the effect of the interplay between the life and the environment. So how do we interact with that? We're going to express a different radiation or different emission of light and lightness of being. Also, there's a clip of Sevan Bomar because he talks about his awakening experience too in another video, and it came in wordplay about being light and kind of like versus heaviness. And if you have a lot of weight, then you're going to need to wait in terms of the consciousness journey. So I'll cut to that clip right there, and I'll do the clip of 7, and then we'll see if we go deeper into each of these qualities of the soul. So here's the video of Sevan Bomar, and I'll jump from his intro into what I was talking about with his the little riddle of life that he was given at the start of his awakening, which is also super interesting, and he talks about a lot, but I went and found another video of where he mentioned it, and it's in this Origins Tetragrammaton Part 1. If you follow the Innerstanding channel, that's a very good video as well.
Just to let everyone know, today is a very powerful show. It is more than action-packed, so this is something that you're definitely going to want to relax in on. Get yourself together in your environment. Make sure that you're not able to be disturbed. There's going to be some disturbances probably around you in relation to maybe somebody trying to distract you from this. Just remember, you have the archives. And so let me let it breathe again as I check around and make sure that the streams are live, that everybody is tuning in, things are well. And as I said before, we're also on Instagram Live for the first time, just seeing what's up with the audience over there. We have 15,000 Instagram subscribers, so we're going to see what that 15,000 is about and how much the change occurs in the world right now today. So let me turn this thing on. What's up, family? It's great to see you. This is an amazing time. Wholeness.
You said wholeness.
I actually never thought today would come, to be honest. There are things that I'm aware of that just like a teacher who is instructed to teach basic mathematics, that means you don't get into trigonometry, you don't get into calculus, because that is not what you were told to instruct. And for me on this path for the last decade, it's been extreme growth for my being in realizing not only the things that we face together, but also how we face them, how every single thing, like every single judgment that we have, every single reflection can be dissected and put into a great level of reason and awareness of who you truly are and where you're at that point. So, when we find ourselves judging and hating and all these different things, that's where we are at that point. So that's what we inherit. And thus, for thousands of years now, not even that time is real, but for thousands of years, we've been enduring this low vibratory primitive frequency by choice. And today, for the first time, because there has been a supreme mastery over all mysteries, we will be able to, for the first time, reveal something that has been hidden for sure, has been kept secret, and has been the linchpin to the downfall of the entire planet and possibly adjacent planets on into the cosmos. And that is the total awareness of who we are and what we're capable of doing. So for those who may be on this camera, which I'm looking at right now.
So yeah, definitely check him out. Check out this video. I'm going to put a link to that. But I'm going to jump ahead to where he talks about his experience with the riddle when he's on the diamonds. I still don't know what the diamonds is. It's some kind of substance that he took that helped him to have an awakening. Many people go that route. But yeah, so this is what his experience was. Let me put this on pause real quick and then I'll come back once I got it queued up to the right section. One second. It was hard to find where to go in because he's just got so much in this video that's amazing. But so this is a little bit further back from where he says the thing, but his lead in is important, so I'm just going to let it play. Here we go.
At the end of the day, when you start figuring out what you really are, you realize you're beyond title. So true, all men and people who classify themselves in any kind of conjunctions and small packages of themselves will never actually realize the complete truth. Thus, they will never master time because they will remain in division. That's what that means. So let's keep going.
Division.
So in the state of amnesia, it worships an image of itself. Right? What does that really mean? What does that really mean to worship an image of yourself? Well, I think we see it all the time now, don't we? We have stars on TV. Basically, people give the stars in the TV more attention than they give their own mother and fathers, sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles, friends, loved ones, and everybody else. So that's one example right there, right? It's just onto the image of the whole thing, not yourself. Also, in most traditions, they got a male, generally. Some of them have a female, very few, but there are some, that are running around as the chief patriarch of the tradition in a human body. And in that, people have, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, what are you doing? You're worshiping an image of yourself, the ultimate selfie stick. Okay, so it says that when you do that, it says you worship an image of yourself which you project, and thereby creating a distance between yourself and yourself. What a conundrum. This is like a parfoolery, like a dream within a dream, an onion within an onion. Right? A layer after a layer after a layer, because you're continuously creating this distance from yourself. The more you create more division. So the more you cut somebody off, the further you are away from the truth. You see how the machination works? So, this machination, if you may, is actually an ophonym. For those that just want to know what the name of it is, as far as like the real reference to what we're actually in, because there's still a lot of speculation going on, which will be cleared up. But again, I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to bring the knowledge, and I'm not like, okay, how are they going to take this? Because how much more of this, do they really have to connect? Because they're going to need those connections. Let's give you all the connections now. The ophonym. Okay, so one time, I'm on the diamonds. And that's my code, everybody knows that code word. And this time, it's probably time number 45 or whatever, 46. And now I'm into this part of the experiment, because that's what I did. I experimented with these substances. I wasn't just trying to get high. Those are not even like the highs that are like the addictive ones. They're more like, okay, I hope I come back. And so you're challenging the real realm of of how wild things can really get. Unexpected, the realm of the unexpected. Okay? And this time, I'm on realm of expected, time number 44, with the notepad and the binoculars, hanging out at the beach, right on the time where the sun and the moon are at equal stance, which happens quite a lot. And I go in. I hold. And I hold. And you know what happens. The HUD cuts on. Okay? Because once because the diamonds are just catalysts. That's why crystals, they're catalysts. They bridge the gap. So they allow you to turn on for a moment. And you generally turn back off after that, hopefully. Right? So I was like, ah! So I'm on, right? And so once I'm on, I'm like, ah! And then
Again, I do not know what he's talking about, and I do not recommend, like, hey, don't do, no. But there's many ways to come across truth and to enlighten yourself. In him, he is doing one thing, that is sharing his experience so that we may understand on our way. So no endorsements, no encouragements, no yada, yada, yada. Live your life. Do what you need to do. But he's about to get to his the riddle that he was given, which is a little bit like gels in with like what Bruce Lipton says. So you have the biologist perspective, and then you have the everyday. Sevan came from Atlanta, and he says he was involved in all kinds of stuff in the life, and he was living a certain way, and he turned his life around completely and amassed a huge tribe following of his deep dives that he's done into metaphysics. And in case you don't know, so here's the rest of that. But I had to give that one little interjection. Sorry, I have a pause right here too. He's like talking about whoa. So when he clicks on, here's what happens.
My mind's like, the supreme mind. It's like, do what you came to do. And I'm like, oh yeah. So I grab the binoculars and I look up at the sky and look at the moon. And what I saw was chains, what appeared to be chains running through the moon, moving it like a great machine in itself. See, the thing about diamond is what you're seeing is really exists. It's not like the other stuff. So like the LSDs and all that, there's a gap between what you're seeing. Like he says, this thing only has a subset of the only last since it was synthesized. When you're dealing with psilocybins, it's like 1 billion years. When you're dealing with acacias been sitting in the desert forever. So when you get onto that framework of pure distilled light and the synthesis as well, at the moon, you see this? Uriel's machine, or AKA the Ophanim, which is a chariot. So now you're starting to get an idea of when the terms like earth is God's footstool or things like that, like God is riding on top of the earth. That's a real thing. And what causes all of this is the positive and the negative, the electromagnetics, the racisms, the acids, the alkaline, and you're just a part of the machination. You're just a character acting out in an entirely different space. The real beings that control your movements are making their moves, and then you're following versus creating your own path,
the planet,
creating your own space, creating your own geometric spheres, if you may. Okay? So let's keep going. Look it up for yourself, Ophanims. And this is why when I saw that, because I had read so much of the works and had been exposed to so much information, I realized that many of the Kabbalists had created Ophanims. And that's what a part of the great work really was to actually create your own electromagnetic sphere that I guess you either inhabit or you put inside of you and allow it to power you. Okay, so this was a known art of having a chariot, because you jump in this thing and it's like, and you dip out electromagnetically. You're in one. Okay, for those that are still looking outside, where's the for them? I want to build one. You're in one. It activates on its own. For those who have tuned it up properly, you fly with it. So there's no needing to worry about, a lot of other things that people are going to be concerned about. But again, let's finish here. Since this form of worship reflects a lack of self-knowledge, it is rejected.
Rejected. Rejected self. Bruce Lipton.
The whole division, external, lower, state of amnesia, worshiping self, don't get in. Don't let him up. Not ready. So, meaning that what happens on the higher planes is you'll see, just explained so eloquently by myself and Brother Kenny, on the higher levels,
Martin Kenny.
You come, big titan. And you're standing on this little bitty wafer because nothing up there weighs anything. Just like in real physics, at the top of this whole vault that we're in, the air that's up there, if you may, the particles are so small because every single thing else that's dense is below it. And that's how the reality is anyway. It's layered by gases. It's layered by elements, right? So at that top, right? That stuff is minuscule and small, so it can all remain connected and firing in between itself. And then here you come. Whoa! I guess you're not even Jack. You're like who Jack was coming to visit up the beanstalk, right? Like you're an old giant. And you're trying to get on this little wafer with all of that weight, all of that baggage. That is not going to happen. So this is what occurs truly in this reality. If you can't vibrate high, you cannot get into the center column and into the center of yourself. Because the wave oscillations, just like you see with the Caduceus staff, the wave oscillations of the two serpents so as these wave oscillations are happening, the oscillations are too wide for you to reach the center staff. It's like you're too dense. You can't get on the wafer, so thus you don't. You can't even.
But that's also a symbolic imaging of the spinal column in humans and the energy that flows around all of those energy centers, spirituals call the chakras, up to the head, where the snakes, there are two snakes on the Caduceus that's used in medicine, and it's these two energies, like light and dark, and they're over this egg that's hatching, and that's you as you're raising your consciousness. And when you awaken, which snake consumes you? Are you consumed by this side or this side? And Sevan talks about that in a lot of his other videos too. So this imagery here is something that's interesting to look into separately if you haven't. But another way of saying that there's everyday society also incorporates this information, but it doesn't really understand or understand what the symbols are. So he goes deeper into it. And so this symbology, again, is on the medical seal of Caduceus, but what it is a depiction that mirrors our physical bodies. And what he's talking about is our efforts to get into consciousness and to rise up. Because in each of our energy centers, I would talk about in another video, taking it from the spiritual, hard to understand, hard to ground into what it means. I talked about it mirroring into Maslow's pyramid and self-actualization. So if you want to actualize as a human, to move freely, you have to secure your roots, your root chakra, your basic survival skills. You have to have a house. You have to have a place to live, food to eat. You have to have water. You have to have your system rooted, the finances to purchase things. Then you move up through your sacral. And those things that need to be your connections and things in your physical, your sexual energy, and all that needs to be on lock. Are you dividing and sending out your energies to all kinds of random people and depleting your energy field? The energy is supposed to be moving up to boost you up. If you keep on depleting it, sending it out in negative ways, you're going again down. Which way are you evolving in your consciousness? You want to go in and up, not out and down, like Sevan says. So this is all connected. So we're rising in the energy. He's saying we need to go into our inner column, that spine, which has the spinal fluid and all this stuff that is connected. This body is a machine, and what it can do is very powerful when it is in alignment and vibrating high, meaning all of your cells and your organs are clear, you're treating it right, you're fueling it with all the stuff that we learn, like what are we supposed to physically eat so that we can feel more energy, right? All of this stuff is connected. So we have the scientific side moving into the spiritual side, and they do gel, they do align. There's a reason why we do this thing, and it creates this outcome that gives us more of what we're wanting, more energy, and that lightness of being, as he's talking about. As you rise up, you need to get into that lightness, but we come into it with our dense selves, our personalities, whether we're weighed down by our negative energy, thoughts, bad habits, bad beliefs about ourselves, negative self-talk, coupled with bad, health habits, whether it's like we said, roots, where we put it in our food, what kind of food are we putting in, our sexual energy, what kind of people are we allowing into our physical space, because that affects us, our energy and our dynamics. And moving up all the way to solar plexus, what kind of energy are we, how are we articulating ourselves in group, what is our confidence level at, in our heart? Are we moving from a place of open heart, open love, or are we cold and hard and calculating? All of that blockages at each level of those keeps us from rising up the energy of our consciousness, which is, again, the level of consciousness is the level of contact with our soul. The soul expresses the divine nature and is our apparatus that comes from a place of wholeness. What we live here is a place of division and density that weighs you down. So this is all gelling, right? The evolution of consciousness, the level of light and dark, wisdom and ignorance, heavy energy and activity that brings us down, or things that make us way less vibrate higher, like not way less just on a physical level for appearance and superficiality, but literally for the energy that it comes with, right? So it's not anything superficial. It's for these reasons what he's talking about. Let him go.
And get into the conscious of the intellect, and that's why so many people, they can't even get into unity. You be telling them, yo man, it's time to let it go, man. It's been 5,000 years, 1,000 years, I don't even know how long. The division's not working. Man, we're gonna get this. We're gonna take over. They're gonna be our slaves. We're gonna get everything back. It's like, what are you talking about, man? That is not going to happen. That is all an old paradigm of a dream that you were sold and robbed. Robbed for buying it. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, many others know that through this process, that obviously I seem to come up with some secret about the language. What was directly translated from this high vibratory frequency to me was this code. And it just gave it to me like this first. Yeah, James, you like to play games. You're trying to get light, but you need to get light. You got too much weight, so you're going to wait. And that's how it started. I said, well, wait a minute. Those words are all like the same words, but they all have a different meaning. I said, no, they are all connected, and this is what you will learn. And through that process, and it was like, wow, my whole brain, the mental, logical side was reorganized because I had the key to the English language, and everybody knows that that's how this started a decade ago. I brought the code of the matrix, which gives a person a 101 about how to decipher English. I gave the book away for free. I was like, so long, suckers, I'm out. Like, all I got to do is one more thing for the Most High, who is myself, and give this away, the greatest thing, the thing that is most valuable to me, which is the ultimate gesture of love, which is this work, because it changed me. And I gave it, and I sat on the bed. I even kind of had like my last mango, and then I was like, okay, like, what's up? Because I already had seen the potential. I mean, if they would just zoom, and you were somewhere else, that and beyond was possible after what I had seen for the 3 months after this experience. So I'm like, okay, so what's up? And it's like, did you do your best? And this is self talking to self, but not aware of self. Just like he reflects on himself, but it's rejected. So you just stay there reflecting on self. Self's answering you like you're a separate person. Did you do your best? But somehow it seems to know everything about you. So we call it God. Right? Did you do your best? And I'm like, man, you got me. You got me. Because I see my best. Oh man, I've done some hell of a things when I knew there was no other option but to deliver. And I can't say I just did that with the book. True enough, I just pulled this off in a month. But I can do a lot more because I know a lot about technologies, and I know a lot about how things really work with people's mind, and a lot about businesses, and a lot about all that. And if I fire all that into this too, I'm sure to become something different. But surely you're not asking for that, are you? Oh no, we're not asking for that. Just create a simple website, make sure people get the book, and then you'll go. This is literally a conversation that went on for at least 4 years of me doing greater and greater things, breaking open more vaults, explaining greater and greater things, and of course accepting the ridicule, accepting the complete destruction that was happening in my household and my family from others who were just sending negative vibrations and energies as they were making their transitions. The total ousting and blackballing because I wouldn't be accepted by the black community completely because I liked white people. And they didn't accept me too much because I was black. And so I ended up staying in between, like where I like to be, right in the gap. Perfect. And thus, for 10 years, we broadcasted a message that changed people's lives, virtually undisturbed from the outer forces and influence of somebody trying to make you blow up before it's time. Think about that. You know, everybody's looking for the fame, but what happens when you get it and you're not even ready with your own message? I saw brothers attract 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 million views on a video and had nothing to land people into but a couple hats and t-shirts. Not a real mission, not a real cause, and yet they persist. So why it came with the knowledge about the language is because of the mystery of the number 26, which is what you see here.
We're going to let him go into that, or you could go into that if you want to find the whole video. Like I said, I'm going to end it right there, because the very interesting thing to me is how different people have their quote-unquote awakening story, and how everything fits in from the scientific to the spiritual in terms of cause and effect and the receptors of ourself, and what gets rejected when we try to transplant someone else's storyline or narrative into who we are. It doesn't quite fit. That's almost like when we're trying to wear the mask of being a not true self. Your life doesn't expand, it doesn't flow how it seems like it would be naturally. But when we're in alignment with who we are, who our unique expression is meant to be, based on the receptor cells that are programmed into us, and the players, when we talk about the big things with the chains that are moving the moon, this is like the energy that's causing the rotation of our planets in a very set way. They go on their path and they're doing their thing, but they're also beaming down energy that comes, that just like with the sun moving across the ecliptic at the equator, it causes our seasons, and the seasons impact the vegetation, right? The flowers, the leaves, and the trees. We see how they shift and change. They're influenced by the energy of the environment. Why would we think that we are not influenced by the energy of these bodies moving around us, these celestial bodies? And so the idea is that understanding how each one affects us differently. And there's different people who are known to have like seasonal depression, for example. Not everybody has that because we have different receptors. Our cell makeup is different for how we experience different things. But overall, we need to understand how we're influenced by all of those bodies moving around that we don't learn about in school, and we don't learn about in terms of a practical way of understanding our life experience, our mission, how we are perceiving life, how we can move ahead in life, how we can get into rapport and into flow with, what we're in align, what really is meant in alliance for us. So we're not like mimicking someone else's lane and frustrated because it's not working for us. How about we get into the right seat and go from there? And it's interesting that how he says it, first and foremost, his experience on the diamonds told him that you want to get light, but you need to get light. Light information, energy, right? What are the right actions that you need to be taking? Again, what choices are you making in life? And he said, you have too much weight, so you need to wait. Time, you're going to have to wait before you can advance in consciousness, and because you're too heavy right now, your weight, your density. And that becomes all manner of things that he talked about in metaphysics. Like he talks about in another video when he tells the story, he's like, man, I had to stop eating the croissants and the stuff and all that. And I was like, damn, I don't want to do that because I love bread. I love some stuff like that. But all of that stuff, whatever it is for you that allows you to stay in that sense of lightness being, that sense of lightness being radiation of intelligent activity, which is the creative force that mixes with the spirit, God, and the manifestation or our form, the sun, is that mother energy, is that intelligent activity, and how to bring that matter and spirit into harmony so that you can create what you want to experience, which is usually flow, right? Ease, positive experience. And all of that comes from first working on that lower level nature and moving up into our higher nature, which he shows in that Caduceus staff, and how all of that combines to getting in our own particular lane, understanding the self, the real self, and bringing it back to Bruce, how he talks about you can't become someone else. Someone else can't, like, unless they plant themselves into you physically to where you're going to start sensing things the way they do. That comes from a physical organ being moved. So unless we're going to be doing that, there's no sense trying to emulate the stars or some other person and trying to mimic and copycat ourselves into being what they are. We need to figure out who we are. We'll have a much easier time because there is something that's meant for each of us. So this is getting long too. I'm going to have a long video overall either way. So you know how we roll. I have fun doing it, so hopefully you enjoy watching this, and we'll just pick it up and just read the rest together, the next section, whatever makes sense. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Take care.
One rabbit.